when the flash hit you. You could see the x-rays of your hands through your closed eyes.
The world's most awesome weapon is readied for detonation.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, T0.
The ball of fire is 3 miles across as it shatters both land and sea.
Miles back, observers from all services and several allied nations stand by for the first daylight tower shot.
The terrible, swift power of nuclear weapons has to be seen to be believed.
Bombs. Powerful weapons made by our fellow man for one purpose: to serve the soulless acts of war. In Puerto Rico, detonations going off was a common occurrence for residents.
Those bombs have cancer chemicals, and that's what they're doing. They're killing not only our land, they're killing our people.
Protesters made their voices heard in the area. Why?
That's because for decades, the Navy trained for war by bombing this island.
This area of the Caribbean was contested, with one side being the United States and the other being activists. So what were they doing?
The Navy's been cleaning up the remnants of their war games by blowing up old bombs, a process called open detonation, which they insist is safe.
The Navy bombed Vieques from jets, ships, tanks, bazookas, mortars, experimented with new weapon systems. Then the U.S. military invited NATO countries and other allies to come.
The Navy has admitted to using toxic chemicals in Vieques, including napalm and depleted uranium.
The people of Vieques are very sick, not because they were born sick, but because their community was sickened as a result of many factors, and one of the most important is the contamination they were subjected to for more than 60 years.
In addition to the hazardous chemicals.
In 1999, a Marine fighter jet accidentally dropped 2 500-pound bombs on a Navy observation post, killing a local security guard and wounding 4 others.
The United States Navy would unalive David Sanez Rodriguez in 1999. The whole reason we got to this point was because of a racist policy by SCOTUS that defined Puerto Rico as a territory, but not part of the U.S., citing alien races and savage tribes. In 1917, President Woodrow Wilson signed the Jones-Shafroth Act, making Puerto Rican citizens of the U.S. It was a calculated move by the government. The Selective Service Act of 1917 followed, meaning Puerto Ricans would now be eligible to be drafted and fight in World War I. Between the two wars, more than 85,000 Puerto Ricans fought. Fast forward to 1941. The U.S. troops evicted Vieques' roughly 10,000 residents at gunpoint and relocated them to a narrow strip of land in Vieques' center. The rest of the island was turned into a de facto war zone. Mass protests took place. After Sanez's death, the island saw one of their own take center stage. Enough, said resident Noel Garcia. The people here on Vieques have not been able to live normal lives. The bombing has destroyed the environment and held back the island's development. All of Puerto Rico believes this must end. During this time, a young up-and-coming boxer would make his name, Felix Tito Trinidad. He turned pro at 17 and would rise through the ranks, fighting for legendary promoter Don King on Mike Tyson's undercards. After a stunning defeat over the undefeated Pernell Whitaker, it was official. The man they called Tito had arrived. Back home, protests, sit-ins, and massive activism was in all of Vieques, with the main objective of getting the U.S. Navy out of the island. In April of 1999, as stated previously, a bombing killed Mr. Sanez instantly while injuring 4 others. Mr. Sanez's death galvanized resentment over the Navy exercises on Vieques, wrote the Times. For many, Trinidad represented hope. He was proud of his heritage, rocking the flag constantly, and then the moment came.
Return with boxing, in which Saturday night is Fight Night in Las Vegas, where the 2 most powerful welterweights in the world, Oscar De La Hoya and Felix Trinidad, will get down to business in the most lucrative non-heavyweight bout in history.
Oscar De La Hoya would take on Felix Trinidad in September of 1999. Tito did not let the moment slip away. In the dressing room, Trinidad held up a sign that would read, Paz para Vieques, peace for Vieques. As the fighters were introduced by ring announcer Michael Buffer, legend, his corner held it up once more, utilizing his platform to bring light to an issue affecting the homeland. Trinidad would defeat the Golden Boy and get a hero's welcome in Puerto Rico. Fans celebrated with him as he arrived, flew flags in support, and cherished seeing their champion in front of their very eyes. As the celebration went on, ESPN wrote in 1999, Trinidad used the occasion to bring attention to Vieques, an outlying island that Puerto Ricans want the Navy to stop using as a live bombing range. The bombing was suspended after an April accident killed a civilian Puerto Rican guard there. The U.S. Congress is to hold hearings on the issue this week. Peace for Vieques, he yelled out, with the report citing the sign he and his corner held on fight night against De La Hoya. They demanded the Navy leave. In May of 2003, finally, the call was made by the Bush administration. The United States Navy would leave Vieques. As of 2019, the numbers lay bare. Some munitions have been cleared, but not enough. EPA Representative Daniel Rodriguez, who is overseeing the cleanup, would give public statements. The latest reports are it will take until 2032. Yes, you heard that correctly, 2032. Still, it doesn't change the reality. Folks have died fighting tooth and nail for the United States government to simply cease what they were doing to their homeland. Felix Tito Trinidad was one of the greatest boxers in the country's rich history in the sport. He took on Oscar De La Hoya. He took on Sweet Pea Pernell Whitaker. He took on Bernard Hopkins. He took on Ricardo Mayorga. He was the stuff of legends in the ring. As a fearless offensive machine, he gave us plenty of highlights in his Hall of Fame career. Outside the ring, he showed what selflessness, passion, and support for your homeland looks like, including taking on a country's, if not the richest country in the world, their government. He did that. He made a stance. To support the people of Vieques, we will leave a few links in the description box below. Paz para Vieques.